Hi everyone, welcome to part 9 with Dr. Roger Strachan. You can pick up the series at the beginning with the playlist provided in the description below, or you can pick it up right here and go back later and watch the others. We hope you enjoy this edition with Roger Strachan.
It's not a game, it's a power move. I mean, it's much stronger than a game. A game means you're kind of looking for this is power.
Okay, got it.
I'll give you another example. 6 of these 10 people that had a lot to do with this woman, they all come to see me. 6 of them. The others had other things going on. And these 6 spoke for them. And I'll call her Aunt Maud. Well, Aunt Maud, she says she can't do the dishes because her hands break out. Says can't go shopping because it's too hard to drive in the car. She can't even go shopping if we take her. It's too much noise. She gets all upset. On and on and on. And they all report stories like that. And I look at them and say, Aunt Maud has 10 slaves. I love that photo. It was my favorite.
The wolf.
There's consciousness, communication. The ears are back. Supined, okay?
Yeah.
And accepting this. This is the male, that's the female.
It's beautiful.
It's not just habit, for God's sake.
It's real.
It's real.
Alive, yeah.
Look at her eyes. Look at how gentle they are. She's going to receive the stick. And, that's a lot of... Yeah, edit this nonsense out.
I don't know, that was pretty priceless right there. I might leave it in.
Leave that in.
Remember, you can get exclusive Dr. Roger Strachan content right here on Sorting Myself Out, along with other content around living a meaningful life, psychology, and philosophy. Hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and stay tuned.
Now I'm going to tell you a story that Gene and I did. I may have mentioned just bits of this before, but this man's family owned St. Lucia's Island in the Caribbean. Their family had come there and been settlers. So over time they sold off parts of it and allowed resorts to come in, etc., etc. Now it's like some of the others. They don't own all the land now. And he had mild persecution feeling. Not enough to be locked down, but he was not okay with himself on the streets. So he was at the Benedictine monastery, and the rector was Father Lewis, wonderful Benedictine minister who really cared for the people that came there for retreats, and I mean just a sweet, sweet, good man, and a great proponent of understanding and love, and you're okay. I mean, it's like there was no shaming of this man who wasn't functioning well at all. As a matter of fact, during the whole time I worked with this man, I went to Father Lewis and I said, you got to give him a responsible job. He said, got it. We got these young pecans out in front of the monastery. He's going to take over. He'll water, prune, feed them, watch them, and see to the picking when times come. It was just the greatest thing you could do for this guy. Because he got a sense of productivity and meaning. You know, you got a nuts you're going to harvest. You're going to take care of it, so it's a good harvest. So I worked with him, and he's getting stronger and stronger. Now, what did I do? I just dove right into his voices. I did his mandala, I did my mandala. Then he had voices that didn't always show up in his mandala, but I'd say, I think you got to put that guy in there. And I would talk to him. And then he would talk to him. So sometimes one of his voices that was paranoid would say, oh, well, you can't be trusted in that. And the other one would say, oh, that's all you ever do with everything. You mess up my life. I'm tired of being afraid of everything. He made such good progress. That June and I took him in the wilderness. Ha!
Wow.
Acting out persecution or paranoid. I hate the term paranoid. But
Why do you hate it?
Because it sounds like that's what you are, rather than what I say, you have feelings of persecution. Mm-hmm. Feelings are not you. They're only a part of you. He had other feelings. He was not a paranoid. That's a label. Feelings of persecution come to him. Mm-hmm. Okay? But that's not the only thing that comes to him. Raising those pecans came to him.
Right.
So he could function lots of different ways. So the first day out, he was so timid and so afraid of the wilderness. And my sweet dog, it was still puppy-like. Why, he jumped in with him on the tent, and the tent collapsed.
Oh my gosh!
Now my dog's dashing around. He sleeps the rest of the night. He doesn't even get up and straight. And I get up in the morning, and I said, "How'd your tent come?" I said, "Oh, your dog goes." I said, "Well, why don't you call me? I'd help you put it again." "Oh, I didn't." So I said, "Okay, come on." So I took him over a set of rocks, real safe. Easy bouldering. So I said, "Would you like to do this?" So I bouldered up about 8-10 feet and came back down, or jumped down, depending on how far up I went. And no, I don't think so. So we worked that day on lots of other exercises. The second day I said, "Would you like to boulder?" "Yeah, I think I'll try it." I had to caution him. I said, "You're getting," I'm not going to use his name for confidentiality. I said, "You're getting too high. I won't be able to catch you. I won't be able to see you if you go much higher. You're going to go around a little edge where I can't see over the top of here."
Right.
And I had to caution him to come down. Ecstatic. To watch we did a number of other exercises, to watch his confidence grow was amazing. It was a huge leap in the work. So then I worked with the priest, and he came out to live outside the monastery. Had a tiny little apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he did well. And here's the downside. And I never did this again. I thought he was doing so well that I took a month to go skiing, because I was going to be a ski bum that year too, and I was going to pick different times. And off I went. Was a good skier. I just started up the Jeep and followed where the snow was falling. Came back. Was back in the monastery. He'd gone back. He even moved into the apartment with a woman.
Wow.
He got laid for the first time in 45 years.
Wow.
On a regular basis. And he
it
had a good
time. It all regressed?
She didn't, but he did.
Based on lack of communication?
Based on
what was it?
The bond that he had with me. I felt so responsible in the sense that, Roger, your interest in skiing outweighed paying closer attention as to how strong he was. But he went back into the monastery and was fine and did well, and later came out after. And I worked with him some more, but I will never do that again. I will always really check. But we've known that for a long time. There's a great book, and you may run and read it. I Never Promised You a Rose Garden, written by a woman psychiatrist who was telling that to a young woman who's getting ready to pass the age where she could stay in that institution and have her for a therapist, and would have to go to another one, matriculate. And that's what she says, so that the little girl didn't feel abandoned going on. And that's the catchphrase, I never promised you a rose garden. But my God, did that psychiatrist work very, very hard until the girl had to be transferred. She wasn't ready to be out.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
But our lockdown system doesn't work at all, because then we just drug them up. And you've seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
The psych wards and things like that.
Yeah. I would never work at them. And I proved the point about that while I'm on the subject of people that are... So there was a guy diagnosed catatonia, had not spoken in 10 years. They do everything for him. Put him in a wheelchair, wheel him around, park him, and give him a bath, feed him, everything.
Yeah.
So I'm watching him, and I realize he's paying more attention than... And I knew he knew what was going on. So I said to both of the psych techs that were responsible for feeding him, I want you to be in the same room at the same time at dinner time.
Yeah.
And the same at breakfast and lunch. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to give him only like oatmeal or spaghetti, gruel, casserole-like things. And don't use a fork, use a spoon, but miss his mouth. So here I am. And I'm talking to the other psych. How was your weekend? And I hit you in the chest or hit you in the chin. And pretty soon he's chasing it with his eyes, chasing it with his mouth. And we get through the feeding. The very next day, she starts in, does the same thing, but it's the reverse now. It's the other psych tech doing the feeding. And they're talking about their, last night they went shopping and such, okay? Just they start to feed him, he says, "Give me that goddamn spoon, I'll feed myself." Had not spoken in 10 years.
Holy. Wow.
I remember in the movie, the Indian, the big Native American.
Yeah.
He starts talking toward the end of the movie.
Right. Yeah. That's a great movie, by the way.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. Wow. So you knew he was
by
playing,
watching
he
his
was playing
eyes.
a game.
No, he wasn't playing a game. He had them dependent on.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, but it's not a game. It's a power move. I mean, it's much stronger than a game. A game means you're kind of looking for some. This is power.
Okay, got it.
I'll give you another example. 6 of these 10 people that had a lot to do with this woman, they all come to see me. 6 of them. The others had other things going on. But these 6 spoke for them. And I'll call her Aunt Maud. Well, Aunt Maud, she says she can't do the dishes because her hands break out. She says can't go shopping because it's too hard to drive in the car. She can't even go shopping if we take her. It's too much noise. And she gets all upset. On and on. And they all report stories like that. And I look at them and I say, Aunt Maud has 10 slaves. Can I get her job? I would love. I wouldn't have to lift a finger. And all of you. And it hit them. They said, son of a bitch. We've been had. She could do lots of those things. She just tells us and gives some reason. Okay.
Jeez.
I had in my lab a Skinner box because I did training with rats. But I had a cartoon next to it. And the cartoon is 2 rats. And the one says to the other, "Ha! Have I got it made? I go to see that little lever? I push that little lever. He gives me food. Every now and then he brings in a female. I get laid. I mean, this is just the greatest life there is. I don't have to hunt anymore. I don't have to sniff around for crumbs.
Right.
I can eat whenever I want. And there's water right there.
Yeah.
Have I got him trained?"
Yeah, like who's training who, right?
Who's training him?
Yeah. That's a great story. What was it like to be a lab scientist?
It was wonderful. The difference is I love being with people. So now I'm going to go into the next thing that's very active in the wilderness. And then I'm going to tell some long-term stories. And once you get questions. For years, many of us knew, because of contact personally and with our clients and with friends and colleagues, that there's activity of an energetic nature outside of our bodies in the universe. The Buddha solved it. We're all connected. Therefore, those energies will flow through you. Scientists said, no, we're not connected. Now physics and metaphysics agree. No such thing as space. But now what Buddhism is taking from us, that's got the Dalai Lama excited, is that everything that has a body is unique. So every living organism with a body is unique, yet we're all connected. Mm-hmm. That's the most magnificent phenomenon. What a great thing. Therefore, I really do believe when people say they have a guardian angel. I became such a rugged scientist, even though I had studied soul and had 2 degrees in theology when I began my training. Then I had 3 degrees in psychology, and then many internships and residence. I never forgot my learning around the soul, because I studied a lot of philosophy, a lot of theology, and I studied even through scientific and consciousness. But I became such a rugged scientist in 1968. I said, this is not okay. So I started winding my life down and lived a totally different life by finding my soul. In 1968, I worked 90 hours a week. Since 1973, I don't work more than 2 days a week, and now I'm not working hardly at all.
Yeah.
Training you.
Right.
Training a few others.
Yeah.
Putting on podcasts that are fun now after all these years. When people would come and tell me stories that are parapsychology stories, paranormal, I would just listen. And what I would say to them, don't get heady, don't start a new school, take it, honor it, and go on the face of it. And that's what I did with my own knowings. I don't always know something, but you and I have been in thing now. Happened again this morning. That you put messages out in the universe, and I pick them up, and sometimes.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, this morning. Yeah. I was thinking about my brother, and 1 second later, he said, "How's your brother?" Yeah.
Right.
It is a gift that you bring.
Part of it has to be attuned to. You can practice it. One of the guys that did the most with this was Monroe, who was at Virginia universities, and he wrote about out-of-body experiences. And did lots and lots. You may want to read on them. Once again, I guess it's attraction connection. If you have the phenomena, those stories or those energies will come in. And I guess if you don't, well, they won't. So, all right, questions.
Well, I want to know more about. You kind of skipped over it, but what was it like being a lab scientist?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I really want to know more.
That's a great question, and I did skip over it. I kind of
it's okay.
think. See, that's why you're here. Keep me on the record and tracking.
Right.
That's good. But it needs a little history. You and I know this story. I've told it to you a number of times. I brought a warrior in, and between 8 and 15, I was severely abused by his stepfather. And when he hit me at my 15th, within a day or so of my birthday, when his watch was wrong, and I had the gravity and stupidity of telling him his watch was wrong, full fist. But I went to the ground, and I came up with a look in my eye. I'm not 7 or 8 now. I'm athletic, I'm playing football and basketball, and I'm playing baseball, and I'm working out. I'm not ready to beat him up, I'm only 15, but it's going to be soon. And I looked at him and said, your day's coming.
Wow.
He deserted the next week. Just deserted, left us penniless. I don't see him for 3 years. I do okay my sophomore year. I get shipped off because he's deserted to live with my father. That was pretty much a disaster. And I come back, and my junior, senior year, I just started going, I'd rather surf than go to school. So I write my basketball pass into May, and if the teacher's dumb enough to not know the season's over in March, that's so be it.
Right.
So now my senior year, I'm failing. I'm not going to graduate. The only reason I'm in school to play basketball. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there at all. And then by this time, I'm calling what they call half and half. I only go to school half a day and work the other half a day. That was a program they had in the Los Angeles area in the schools. So that's the reason that the one class was at 11, and I would sign my basketball pass. So I was done with school between 8 and 11.
Right.
That's a long 3 hours. Wow. Tax your brain. At any rate, she caught me, and she said to me, you better go pump gas because you'll never amount to anything. People like you, you shouldn't even be in high school. A few days later, I take the mock exam that my English teacher's doing. What a sweet, great teacher. Always looking out. In the California schools, when you graduate from high school and you go sign up in September, they didn't have pre-registration then. You go sign up in September, you have to take an English test. If you don't do well enough, you have to take what they call dumbbell English. A course you get no credit for, but pay for. And then you get English 101 the next semester, providing you pass that. Okay? So this is what I'm going to do. I've gathered up all these different tests, and I've correlated them, and I have a mock test that'll cover most of the things you're probably going to experience come September. If you do well, have a great summer. If you don't, study your English. Don't get in a class you get no credit for. She gave the test, and I got a score just below the valedictorian. The valedictorian is number one in the graduation ceremony. I'm 595th, according to grade point average. There's only 5 people behind me, and behind that are 30 bikers, Harley guys, because there was no night school. You had to keep taking credits until you matriculated. It wasn't a night school where you go get the degree, and no GED. Okay. So she grabbed me, shook me. She said, "You been sitting here? When you do come." And she put me right up the front. She said, "I had no idea you were brilliant." She said, "You're going to graduate. I'm not going to have you on my conscience." Well, there's a teacher down the hall. Told me to go pump gas. I don't think I'm going to. So I'll talk to her. I got D's from each of them. For the English teacher, I wrote a truth papers and got a high score in the final. But I still only qualified for a D. I graduated, and some wonderful Christian people found me through my friends. The guy that I played basketball with, I was the guard, he was a forward. His father was a minister, and they were sweet, sweet Christians, believing in love, not believing in sin that much. They really cared for people. I got swept in with a family. I saw something of love in a family that I didn't see in mine. My mother tried, but with that idiotic stepfather. And one day, I was in church, and I got my first epiphany in life, followed by epiphany that came right after. And here's what it was. You should work with people. I felt energy field all around me. I can tell you exactly who was standing next to me. I'm, 85 years old. I was 19 then. And I could give you exact detail. Tell you where I was sitting in the choir. On and on. Well, it hit me. A few days later, my stepfather came back with cirrhosis of the liver, painted all over his yellow, icky face, dying. He had a couple months to live. To make amends to my mother. I saw him. I said to my mother, "I'm going to the beach. I'm going to my favorite jetty, and I'll probably cry all night long." Why? I said, "I've carried that son of a bitch around. I'm 18, just turned 19. And I carried him 3 years. From 15 to 18. Through 18. And that's not okay. I screwed up high school. I screwed up my life. I'm out, doing some things on the streets that I could go to jail for." I came back the next morning. She said, "What did you learn?" And this is what's powerful about the wilderness and about the self-soul spirit model, and when they're combined is epic. And I said, I will never give another person any kind of power to decide my behavior. His bad behavior, he's not responsible for my bad behavior between 15 and 18. I am. I gave that power up. I could have gone to school. I still would play basketball, but I could have gone and graduated up there with the top students. I didn't. And I turned around that and went on, and then show you the difference. After 5 degrees and all kinds of other things, if 4 is the top, I got a 3.9 plus. 1 or 2 B's and all. time I was in college with 5 degrees.
Amazing.
Yeah. Then I get into the lab, and I love it. That's why I gave you this history, because it wasn't that I didn't love it.
What were you discovering in there?
Oh, all kinds of things. I did all kinds of research, and I had a mentor, brilliant experimental psychologist. He was my mentor, and he's the one that hired me at Glendale Community College and tutored me and taught me how to do surgery and on and on. He was just brilliant, and he just passed away a few years ago. He did great work in cooperation between monkeys, between whales, and
Cooperation?
yeah. But for example, something over there, that monkey has to do, this monkey has to do something here, then they get fed. So they have to go in tandem.
Right, right.
As 2 acts to get what they want.
Right.
Then the fruit comes out. He did it with whales, and we did all kinds of things. We did great papers written, great career. In the lab, I wasn't working with people. I was working with my students, but it wasn't the same. And it wasn't the same teaching. By the time 1973 came around, I chose private practice working with people and wilderness encounter over staying in the lab. Now, that was a conscious choice. It wasn't because this was bad. It was because this was my calling.
Yes, yeah.
And in 1967, because Arizona lost their accreditation in 62, and it was the APA took their accreditation away.
Oh wow.
I went to Pepperdine. I even called up Victor Ramey, who's the guy that put together the model for Ph.D.s, along with his committee of a practitioner scientist. So I wasn't trained only in clinical. I was trained as much as in biology, neurophysiology, so on, genetics.
Right, the scientist-practitioner model.
Yes, that's the one.
Didn't that start in the Boulder Conference?
Yes, 1946 to 1949. Yeah. Good memory.
Yeah.
I called Victor in, and in those days there were very few psychology or psychology students. Victor actually answered his own phone. Can you imagine calling the chairman of the department and getting him?
Right. Yeah.
And he knew me.
Right.
Because my work was there, and he could see what my work was real quick glance.
The research you were doing?
No, I wasn't. Not the research. The grades I was getting, where I was going to school, my Pepperdine record.
Okay.
He knew,
okay.
And he knew what happened at 62, where we all had to leave. And he said, "Roger, I can put you in at 65, but I'm full up for 64. I'll give you a full boat at 65." That was a great offer. And a great offer from a great man that really understood practitioner and scientist. In 1967, I returned to Arizona, and the clinical head of the clinical department said, "Your mentor has already shown me where you are. You're 40 years ahead in psychology. You are not going to take one more clinical class. I do not want any service acts. I particularly don't want a service act from you." And then the difference between lab and the calling struck. I said, "Dr. Greenspoon, I want to be a service act." He said, "I can't believe it. I'm ready to finish you up in genetics. I'll find you a place in one of the universities to speak up for you. You're going to skip instructor and assistant. I'm going to get you in as associate. With all you know, you need to be publishing about genetics." And I said, "Nope, I'm going to write a theory about genetics," which I did then in 73. That was 67. I started writing it along the way. Mm-hmm. I mean, my lectures at the university and college were on genetics. In 69, I said to my students, imagine everybody on the block engineered their children to have IQs. We'll just take one dimension. IQs of 180 to 200. You have 120 by natural selection. You're the dummy on the block. Yet in normal culture, you're 2 standard deviations from the mean. And And Greenspoon shook his head. I went over to the counseling department, and they didn't want to let me in. They said, "You've got so much work at Pepperdine. What do you want, a rubber stamp?" I said, "Yes." They blinked back. I said, "You're damn right I wanted a rubber stamp. I just got fucked over in 1962. And there it is, 1967. And 64, 65. You know, I borrowed money and got all those. I want you to rubber stamp me." And a couple guys said, "Yeah." And then one of the guys said, "It's not just rubber stamp. He's going to represent us well." I checked about Roger. With his master's, he's one of the top therapists in the state of Arizona. That's what a calling does. Was there anything wrong with lab? No, I love lab. Did I love doing research? Yeah. Do I love mathematical? Yeah, I taught statistics. I'm not against good hard science. What happened is I lost my soul. So to any of you out there who became rugged scientists and you lost your soul, go find it. It's inside you. You don't have to go out and find it in a niche somewhere. You can find it right inside you. That's it.
And the beauty of it is you've
I just nailed James Hillman.
Yeah.
James Hillman's the one.
He's great.
The idea of the niche.
Right.
You're supposed to find it in Mother Earth somewhere.
Right.
God, I love James Hillman, but I said, "Jim, you're wrong. You come in with life with the soul in you. You don't have to go."
Did you ever meet Hillman?
No, I just corresponded with him. I sent him my papers, but he was dying at the time.
Well, he wrote about genetics in his book.
I know. That's
why I wrote the vocational
it.
book. What is it called? It's his most famous, The Soul's Code.
Mm-hmm.
That was his most famous book. But
and he had a female colleague, which I'm blocking on her name. I apologize.
One of my instructors at school worked really closely with Hillman, and it's pretty.
Do you remember the female counterpart that he had? They were really close together.
Mary Louise von France, maybe another student of Jung.
Give me another name.
There's so many, I don't know.
Never mind.
I was going to say, the beauty of it is you've managed to maintain a scientific position within the framework of your soul.
Exactly.
Which has been pretty fun to watch, and it's opened a whole new world up for me.
Now let's go back and look at the science too. When the astronomers came out a few years ago studying nebulae and said they watched gases and, form suns, and they saw over time little bits, get together and they'll form planets, and they have to calculate, and the speed is calculated. Well, there are many views of it, and try to go back and see where it was. They can't in actuality, but they can estimate. And they said, when those come together and form a planet, soul's right in there. There's the life force.
Did they use that word? Soul?
No, he said fairy dust. He said, I'm going to have to eat my lunch for saying this. He just didn't have the little trepidation. He didn't have the wherewithal to say soul. He said fairy dust. Right. He said, boy, I'm going to take it like the guy on the God particle. You remember the story?
Yeah.
It wasn't the God particle. It was the goddamn particle. He didn't get the results in the collider he wanted, and a reporter was there, and the reporter says, how's it going? He said, oh, this goddamn particle. And the reporter reported goddamn particle. No, he reported God particle and left damn out. Now this researcher is stuck with a God particle, and his scientist friends are teasing the hell out of him.
Right. That's hilarious.
And what he said was goddamn particle, and what the reporter said, God particle. And that's what the guy who did the fairy dust said, now I'm going to get nailed with this baby.
Yes.
He wanted to say so, but he hints at the idea to come up to life force.
Essence, life force, soul.
Being, essence, core.
Yeah.
Sometimes psychology uses executive manager. It doesn't matter.
Well, the executive manager gets conflated with the prefrontal cortex.
Yes, it does.
Which isn't what you mean by soul.
No, I mean it. Conscious energy.
And also the prefrontal cortex sometimes gets blamed, or not blamed in a bad way, but positioned as the center of consciousness, which you also don't maintain that.
No. Conscious...
but it is
comes along in evolution.
Planning, intention setting, the types of things that make right?
Yeah.
Is that right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, you're getting that right. But here's what happens.
Am I too far behind you here?
I want to make it really definitive. The brain is nothing but a master computer that's alive, and consciousness moves through it. So the brain will do exactly what it's expected to do, given history, and giving memory in temporal lobes, and giving solving in the frontal lobes. So the brain has not just memory, but it has experiences that it ties up with the limbic system. Okay. A case in point, when my mother had Alzheimer's, I took care of her. Things would get bogged down neuronally in the hippocampus. So I would do things with her that would rush many neurons into the hippocampus.
Yeah, right.
I told you those stories?
Those are great stories.
Yes, and the paper I wrote, To a Good Woman.
It's a great paper.
Right.
It's a great paper.
So if any of you send Ryan your email address, I'll send you the papers on self-soul sphere and the new psychology and To a Good Woman and to another phenomena, which is a paper called Stodgy and Frumpy.
That's a great one too.
Yeah. If we don't keep reinventing ourselves, the man becomes stodgy, the woman becomes frumpy.
They sit in front of the television set and
whatever. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just processing on the brain here as we're thinking.
It's
about
a beautiful tool.
Right. Yeah, and
keeps growing.
Well, first of all, here we go. There's a theory out there that has been posited by people like Terence McKenna and others that psilocybin triggered the evolution of human consciousness.
Yeah.
What do you think of things like that? Wrong?
Look at everybody that studies synapses. All that psilocybin does is keep open the synapses so the color is brighter, it's elongated, it's more intense. And at near death, the same thing happens without psilocybin. Just before you die, the brain goes crazy and just lights up.
So psilocybin's not responsible for our evolutionary.
No. What happens is
frontal lobe development.
We do think, we do reason, we do feel, we do explore, we do experience all kinds of events. Those things lead us to continue in our genetic predispositions, in mutations, while we're learning them in epigenetics.
Okay.
What you can learn with psilocybin is that something you're learning stays more intact while you're learning it.
Okay.
But it can also deceive you.
Okay.
So I'm on mushrooms in San Jose de Pacifico. I shouldn't announce it, but that's the best place for mushrooms. There the women eat the mushrooms and the men drink their urine. So they get a second high.
Why is that?
Because that's their culture. That's what they do.
Where is this?
It's just north of what's the big one that's tourists. Here's Oaxaca to the north, and to the south is on the ocean.
Are we talking South America, Mexico?
No, we're talking about Mexico.
Mexico, okay.
Yeah, what's the big tourist plane just directly south of?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll get it in a minute.
I know about Cancun.
You'll all know it.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'll get it in a minute and I'll say it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's up in the mountains, and the other thing about so you can only take it 3 days. If you take it longer, it doesn't work anymore.
Psilocybin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am looking at these little children, and I thought they were apes running around.
Are you serious?
No, and my guide, who's my sweet woman, those are children. Now, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean you don't get insights. So the day before, I'd taken too much and threw up, and I was her guide, and she took a nice amount, but she wanted to end up. 20 hours later, she's saying, "God, will this ever end? I'm done." And I just held her in my arms, and we, by the time she woke up. So the next morning, we decided purposely I would take the right amount, and I did.
Beautiful.
But the day before, when I'm escorting her around, I shat out in the woods, okay? The next day when I'm higher than a kite, I came back to sit right next to where I shat. I said, well, that tells you something. Everybody's got to take care of their own shit. There's an epiphany, right?
Right. That's pretty funny.
People love to make up magic when magic's pretty simple.
Yeah.
The whole world is magical.
Right.
Think about the whole process of evolution. Think about the whole process of suns and galaxies. Oh, man. When I was a tiny boy, 5 and 6, and they were beginning to talk about, because that's the late 40s, and, extraterrestrial was talking about, 1950, and I'd be about 17 then. If the spaceship would have landed in my backyard, I'd have been in it in a heartbeat. I don't care if they're going to dice me up after they're done with me. I say, before you dice me up, let me learn everything I can. I'll go to heaven with knowledge.
Right.
I didn't know if I was going to heaven or not, but
right.
Now, we've done a variety of things here.
Yeah.
Let's stop. What I'm going to do next, and this is going to entice all of you, what I'm going to do next is tell long transformational stories that connect working with someone, taking them into the wilderness, maybe more than once or twice, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then the outcomes that occur, okay?
Great.
And then even later, I have a couple people that are now in their 70s that I've worked with since they were in their 30s or 40s that have done self, soul, and now are spiritual teachers.
Right, and we'll have them on the podcast hopefully at some point.
Yes.
Yeah. Beautiful.
2 of them. Good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, all of you.